Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is Thomas Carlson from the LinkedIn ACI LinkedIn community team, and welcome to another peer-to-peer knowledge share that we have planned today. The topic of today is going to be fully focused on Revit and the new features in the 2027 version, which was released, which many of you know about a month and a half ago or a month ago, approximately. Here to help us walk through the main features and things to be mindful of when you start working with the latest version in Revit is one of your peers, an Autodesk certified instructor on the gold level. It's Varun Nair, who's based in India but works globally, also with customers from other parts of the world, the US, among other areas. And he's very knowledgeable in the AC products, so I think we can look forward to a really nice session. Before I hand over to Varun, I just wanted to mention that we have muted the phone lines because we're going to record this session like we do with these knowledge shares. The recording will be posted in the LinkedIn group either later today or early tomorrow, so you will have access to it. If I could kindly ask that if you have a question, then there will be time towards the end of the call to ask those. If you want to use the chat or the Q&A function in Zoom, then if you type in your question, then Varun will get to it towards the end. But with that said, Varun, it's a pleasure to have you here. I will hand over to you to take us through the call.
All right. Thank you so much, Thomas, for giving a wonderful explanation and introduction about this particular program over here. More happy to give this session over here for my peers, discussing about the latest versions of the latest updates that we have on the latest Autodesk Revit 2027. Now, let's get started. As I told you, definitely this is a new year, and the software do come up with a lot of advantages and latest things. So let's see what we have today. So first of all, a brief introduction, what we are going to cover over here. As it's been a month and a half since this software has been released, you might have seen a lot of videos and a lot of things where they are talking about the features of Revit software, the latest version of Revit software. So definitely we will summarize all the features over here. I will also show some of the features which are really, interesting that I felt while exploring the latest version over here. The most important part that I would like to cover over here is what is that we as an instructor have benefit on top of it, because this is a session for instructors. So I would like to talk more about how instructors like us could take the advantages of the latest version of the Revit software. And we will also slightly compare it with the other versions, the older versions over here. And I will also give you certain key tips where we can upskill ourselves to the latest versions of the software. Before moving forward, I would like to give a brief introduction about myself. I'm Varun Nair. Thomas said, I'm a certified instructor Gold from Autodesk. Uh, I'm in this industry from past 10 plus year, delivering trainings for corporates across the globe. So which means that I'm sort of a freelance instructor. So whenever any trainings are being assigned, I just take the trainings for the corporates across the globe. Currently, I'm associated with multiple training partners across different part of the world, and I'm also delivering trainings for Autodesk products such as AutoCAD, Revit Architecture, Structure, MEP, and Plan 3D, and AutoCAD MEP softwares too. All right, with that being said, let's directly move into the main topic over here. So just a brief, what is the difference between the 2026 and the 2027 version? Definitely, it's the software performance. The software has enhanced itself to work much more faster, much more effectively, as well as much more intelligently. Now, that's something that we are going to talk more in deep over here. So let's see what are the actual enhancements that has been occurred for when it migrated from 2026 to 2027 version. So definitely, it's an era of AI, like artificial intelligence. So wherever anywhere when we talk about, it's all about artificial intelligence. So in the latest version of the Revit software, they have primarily focused on improving the productivity that the AI assistants could bring on the table. Now, I won't say that it's the best AI as well. I mean, it's the best that could give the solutions for all the problems, but definitely it has improved a lot. I will also show you the hands-on experience how it is dealing with the software over here. There are a lot of other points which are mentioned over here, such as the integration of Autodesk Forma, which is again in a cloud-based software, which is really good for collaborative environment. So that's something that has been added onto the Revit software. Then smarter modeling tools and advanced automations such as quick numbering and all has been also been added over here. Then definitely towards the documentation part, AI has been integrated over there to bring up the accuracy and to improve the way that the documentation has been done. So that's something that Revit has also been improved upon. Now, something other than the software that Autodesk this year have been working on is to integrate the software with other third-party, vendors or companies over there. So, which means Autodesk Revit has enhanced itself to be compatible with the .NET 10 framework, which has helped various other softwares to be collaborated with Autodesk Revit software to work much more effectively. Now, older version that is 2026 was only compatible with the .NET 8 version, but yeah, this time it has been updated very well. So that's a key differences between the capabilities of Revit 2026 to the latest version of the 2027. Now let's understand the key highlights, the most important highlights of the 2027 version of the Revit software. Now, these are some of the very brief the improvements or the enhancements that the 2027 version has been brought up. Now, as I told you, it's been a month and a half when the software has been released, and it's been surprising to see that Revit has also released its one more version or the one more updated version over there, that is 2027.2. So definitely they are very rigorously working on to develop their software as soon as possible. So as you might have also seen multiple videos where they are explaining about the enhancements that they have been made. So these are some of the important and the brief things that they have been working on. So we will explain most of the tools over here. So all right. So the first thing, I mean, these are again the list of the improvements that they have been made. So let's move on to the first detail or the first important change that the Revit has brought into the table is the user interface enhancements. That's something that we need to talk about. Now, from the past years, Revit has changed its user interface a lot, and they are trying to match the software as close as to the AutoCAD software. We know that Revit was actually procured by Autodesk in earlier days, and now they are actually trying to bring as close as the version or the interface of the AutoCAD software. Now, that's definitely a good thing, that because a person or a company who is already working in an AutoCAD software, if they're trying to migrate to the Revit software, it's very easy for them to understand the tools and the interface of the software. So let's see what is the difference that they have actually been made. So let me just pull up the software in front of you, so it will be easy for us to understand. So as you can see, this is the Autodesk Revit software. The initial home screen or the start screen stays pretty much the same, but as soon as I open up any drawing over here, so let me open up one of the mechanical template drawing over here. The most important change that Autodesk Revit 2027 have brought into the table is the removal of the options bar. We know that as instructors we had a pretty hard time to convince the audience as well as the corporates to make them understand that there has a options bar also available in the software that we need to look into before placing or doing anything in the software. But now when it comes to Autodesk Revit 2027, they have completely removed the options bar. Now all the icons or the options that were available in the options bar have been transferred into the contextual menu. So for example, if I selected the wall icon from over here, if I selected the wall icon, normally what happens is that in the older version, there used to be an options bar where there were options such as the height or the depth or what is the total height that we need to give. All should be mentioned over here in the options bar. Now, as we have migrated to the latest version of the Revit, it has completely pushed to the contextual tab over here. You can see that it is completely available over here. So now there is no need to move around your mouse or cursor entire in the screen. You just have to move to the modify tab, and all the options are now currently available in the contextual tab over here. Right. So this is definitely a good thing that the people who are actually using AutoCAD software for a long time, if they are coming into Revit software, they don't have to go and add it to their skill, that they have to also learn about the options bar. So now there is no more options bar available. Everything is concised over here. Now that's the positive part of this interface. Now there is one negative part that I it's not a negative part, I would say that, but definitely it will take a while for people like us to get used to this part, because we have a workflow over here. So whenever we click on wall, we just go over here and our cursor, our hand directly take us to the options bar over here. So it will take a while for us to get used to with the latest version, but yes, that's something that is very, very good, and it's a great initiative that Autodesk has taken to combine the options bar to the contextual bar over here. Right. The next update that the Revit software has is the performance. The entire user interface experiences has been enhanced, and there is no lag at all whenever you click on any of the icon. You might remember that whenever you select any of the option from the software, it will take a while to open up the menu. For example, if I select, let's say if I select the Manage tab, and if I select the parameter services, it might take a couple of minutes over here to load this menu over here. But you can see that it is now straightforward opening the menu or the window in front of you. So like that, the working of the software is pretty seamless, and there is no lag, or I have never encountered any phase where the software has been frozen or crashed in my past 1.5 month experience. So definitely that's again an add-on to the user interface of the Revit software. Now, last but not the least, in the user interface, they have completely changed, or they are completely focused into the dark theme. Dark theme. So earlier, if you have used the older versions of Revit, you know that the Revit were completely the light theme. It was completely white in color, but now they have completely shifted to the dark theme. But yeah, if you want, you can shift it back to the older theme too. Again, I believe that that's a part to align the Revit software as close as that of the AutoCAD software, right? So this is some of the basic enhancements that they have made in the user interface of the software. Okay, now coming back to the slide that we were talking about, so we just discussed about the user in the enhancements, or the user interface enhancements. Now the next most discussed topic over here of the Revit is the AI assistance. Definitely, that's a game changer in Autodesk Revit. We as an instructor could also take a lot of advantages of this AI assistance while we deliver the training programs for our clients. So let's see how this AI assistance actually works in the software. Okay, so let me directly pull up the software. Okay, so now by default, if the AI assistance is not available, you have to manually enable it from the View tab. So I will go to the View tab over here under the user interface icon available. We can see that we have the Autodesk Assistance option available over here. Once I click over here, we can see that we have this AI Assistance tab available over here. So there we can do almost anything over here. But as I told you, this is completely in the initial stages of the AI development. Don't expect that you type the words like create the wall and it will directly create the walls for you. It's not that indulging over there, but definitely it will help you to make slight changes which will take time for you to manually change. So it will do the work for you, which is very, very good, and it saves a lot of time for us. For example, if I create a wall, and I go with this rectangular draw option, and I go with the height, and directly I will give the height till level 1, which is the level of till where I want the wall. And I can create a wall like this with the rectangular wall. Okay, before that I need to select the wall from here, and let me just create a wall over here first. Then let me also create some certain internal walls over here from here. I'm just using the generic walls. So I'll just create an internal wall over here. I will also add certain rooms. Okay, and let me add one more room over here. All right. Okay, now if I ask the Autodesk Assistants to insert the room parameter into this particular drawing, let's see what Autodesk Assistants give us. So I will just type create rooms in the drawing. So if I do like that, let's see what it actually replies. So it's just an AI tool, so it just browses over here. And you can see that it gives a solution that no, it cannot create rooms automatically. So you can see that it is saying that it cannot directly create the room automatically, but it can help us how to create them. So it will give us steps over here which we can follow to create the room. So you can see that there are various steps that it will give us which we can follow to create the actual room within the software. Now let's see if I do that manually over here. So if I click on the room option and I will press yes, and if I insert the room, so I will click on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see that I have inserted 5 rooms over here. Now let me ask something else to the Autodesk assistant, so the AI assistant. So let me say that change all the room names to classroom 1, classroom 2, etc. Right? So I just asked that, okay, change all the name of the rooms to classroom 1, classroom 2, etc. So now if I send this command or send this chat to the AI assistant over here, so it's just retrieving all the rooms from the model and it will try to change it. It's just trying to change it, and you can see that it found that there are 5 rooms available and automatically the room names have been changed. See, so that's the benefit, or that's the power of AI that we are going to use over here. Okay, so definitely AI assistance is something that is very helpful. You can directly chat with AI assistants to check the steps that you need to follow, or you can directly contact or chat with AI assistants to make certain changes like this, as I have shown in the screen. Okay, so definitely in the future updates also, this AI assistance will develop itself, so it will be more and more productive in our upcoming versions too. Coming back to the presentation, let me go back. Yeah, so this was all about AI assistance. So now we will be talking about the architectural enhancement. So we know that Revit software is a very huge software. There are multiple departments available. So we will first focus on the architectural enhancements. Then we will move on to the structural as well as to the MEP departments over here. So in the architectural enhancements, it's been estimated that there are almost 30 to 45% of enhancements that has been made to this particular department. So there are a lot of things that has been changed over here or been updated. Most of them were actually in the beta stage for 2026, but yeah, it's now been implemented actually in the Revit software. So the first thing that we would like to discuss over here is related to the numbering, the room numbering that we are actually discussing over here. So let's see how we can do that. So that is the rule-based numbering automation. This is something that is been introduced into the Revit 2027 version over here. So let's see how it can be done. So for that, let me also introduce the mechanical equipments over here. So first of all, let me go to the ceiling plan so that I can add certain mechanical equipments. So I will add certain, ceiling equipments over here. Let me go to the mechanical tab over here, or the systems tab, from where I can add the air terminals. Let me load the air terminals from here. So let it be supply diffuser hosted. Press open. And I can insert certain diffusers over here like this. Okay, so I'm inserting multiple diffusers over here like this. Okay, now if I want to tag all these diffusers, I normally go to the annotate tab and I go with the tag all option, from where I can select the air terminals option so that I can apply and press OK so that I can tag it. Now, what if I need to give the room number also aligned with the objects over here? If I want to show the room number also aligned with the object over here, we can go to the option known as Manage tab, and there is a new icon available which is known as the numbering option, right? So which is a rule-based numbering automation which is available over here, which will help us to automate the numbering system which you can align with an existing parameter that is available. So let's see if I go with this numbering option which is available over here. So I have to first create a template. Let me give the template as air terminal, and I will press OK. Then I will go with the filter option. You can see that there are various filters available, but I need to create a custom filter for this one. So for here, I will create a new filter and I will give the name as air terminal name, and I will press OK. So from here, I will select mechanical filter, from where I can select the air terminals. And I need to select all the air terminals. So I'm not applying any rules so that it will apply for all the air terminals that are available in the project. And I will press OK and press OK. So from here, I will select the air terminal name, which is the new filter list that I have created. The numbering pattern. So from here, I can select the numbering pattern to add the mark over there. Now for the partition, if I want, I can go with the edit option over here to enable the partition. So I can add the room values over there. So you can see that there is a room values available. So if I want the room number to be added, I can select the room number from the list and add it into the current list over here. So now the room number partition has been added into this particular rule-based numbering automation. Now for the numbering format, I can go with the edit option. Again, over here, I can go and add the same room option from here, and that is the room number. I will add it over here. I want to see the room number first, so I will just bring it up like this. Okay, and if I want to add a separator, I can add the separators over here. Once it is done, you can press OK and apply and press OK over here. Now you can see that automatically it shows the room number along with the item number over here. So you can see that first one is the first room and the first equipment. This is the room number one, is the second equipment. This is the second room number with the first equipment. This is the second room with the second equipment. Right. So with few steps, we just managed to re-add, or we managed to change the annotations or the the legends that we have added over here. So it automatically updated the values for the entire project over here. Okay, so this is how basically the rule-based numbering automation things works. All right. Now moving forward, we also have other thing available, which is the wall hosted on one. Now this is another new update that came to existence in the Revit 2027 version. We know that in Revit, there is a feature known as hosted elements. Now, what are hosted elements? Hosted element means if certain elements are hosted to a certain plane or certain equipment, which it is known as hosted elements, such as air diffuser or lighting fixtures. So they are a type of a family member. They are hosted to a ceiling or to a wall. So they are basically attached to those parameters. Now, the benefit of hosted element is that whenever you move or change the parameters of the host element, such as wall or ceiling, it will automatically update the value of those elements that are hosted to it, such as air diffusers or lighting fixtures, etc. Now, for the first time, wall has also integrated that hosted parameter to it, which means that you can associate a wall as a hosted element to an existing wall. Let's see how we can do that. So let me open up the software again and let me open up a new project. Let me go over here and I will go to the new project to create an architectural template. Okay, now once I have the architecture template available, and let me create a wall very quickly. Very quickly, I will create a wall over here, basic wall, and I will just create a wall like this. Okay, now to this wall, I'm going to add a door, a normal door. From here, I will just add one door as well as one window I will add. Let me go to the architecture tab. I will go with the window option. I will add one window. Okay, so I added window over here and a wall like this. To see the 3D view, let me close the other projects over here. To see the 3D view, the 3D view will look like this. Okay, so it will look like this over here. Okay, so I have both the views associated in the screen so that it is easy for you all to understand what is actually happening. So now let's see if I want to create another wall which is hosted to this current wall. So in such situations, you can start a wall command over here. You can select the type of wall that you want to make it as a hosted wall. Normally, this has to be a custom type of wall, which is like a gypsum board or any panel that you want to put. So you can make it like that. So let me just select a custom wall over here, like a partition wall. And for the height, I'm giving a custom height, like unconnected. I will give a height of say 2000. Okay. Now over here in the draw panel, you will have an option known as place by segment. Now that's the main thing that Autodesk has been added, that is place by segment. Once you select that, you can see that hosted wall option is now available. You can click on hosted wall and you can slowly bring over here. And if you left click on it, you can see that automatically the wall gets added as a host to this particular equipment over here. You can see that the wall got attached to the wall over here. Now, again, there is one more problem. The problem is it is not actually defining the doors or windows with respect to the wall that we have attached. Now, the reason is that when we selected the wall option and we selected the wall from here and we went to unconnected for a height of say 2000, we didn't say that it has to go over here. Let me just do it over here. Wall. Yeah, select this one. It has to be 2000. And we didn't selected the option known as auto join. Now auto join option was deselected. Now once this option was enabled, now if I select this wall, you can see that it has automatically identified the wall and the door, and it has created the cut section over here like this. Now the most beautiful part is that whenever you select this wall that you've created, and if you move it outside, you can see that it also retains that particular gap. You can see it also retains that particular shape. But this uh, feature is only available to an extent. If you move it further, it will actually change that particular parameter. Let's see, if I move it further, it will automatically override the setting and it will create a complete wall like this. Okay, so this is how we actually create hosted walls on an existing wall of the software. The benefit is that you can use this to create interior finish or exterior cladding or installation layers, something that you want to create instantaneously. You can do it with this method. Okay, coming back to the presentation. So now we will be more focusing on to the other departmental enhancement that it has made. So we will move on to the next topics. So the next thing that Autodesk Revit has enhanced is the structural enhancements. So definitely Autodesk Revit has made a lot of changes and updates in the structural part of the software. The first and the foremost eye-catching thing that it has made is that it has introduced a separate tab in the ribbon palette for concrete. So you have a concrete additional tab. You have an additional tab known as concrete in the ribbon palette. So for example, if I show it over here, you can see that you have an additional tab known as concrete available in the ribbon palette of the user interface. So once you go over here, you can see that there are few options that are related to concrete which are available over here. So as a user or as a corporates, when they are moving into the structural part of the software, they definitely wanted this particular section over there. So definitely Autodesk has heard it and they have made the changes in their latest version of the Revit software. Okay, so we have an additional tab known as concrete available over here. Now, it has been estimated that there is almost 30 to 45% of enhancements in the productivity of the structural department of the Revit software. Now, there are few updates which are more predominant is the documentation part. So basically, when you want to create the scheduling or if you want to create certain reports, you can use the AI interface of the Autodesk Revit software. So it itself help you to increase the productivity of the users who are using the Revit software. Now, as I told you, the concrete modeling has also been included in the Revit software. Then there are few other updates that they have been made. So these are the most important updates that they have made in the structural enhancements of the software, which includes the enhanced reinforcement workflows, analytical model automation, then advanced load and boundary conditions, and improved modeling improvements too. So still modeling improvements too. Now, definitely, once you have done with the structural drawing of a building in the Revit software, users take it further to the advanced level of Autodesk software such as robot structural analysis. So now, as the Revit software could include the concrete modeling as well as the modeling improvements, it is much more effective when you share your model with the advanced level of robot structure analysis software. So these are the few updates that they have brought into the structural enhancements of the Revit software. Then we have the MEP enhancements. Now, this is definitely another department where Revit has been working to update itself. So many users across the globe, even I deliver a lot of trainings for MEP people or the people who are working with MEP designings across the globe. So definitely this is a department where Revit has brought in few updates. So let's see what are the updates over there. Now, as per the study, as it's been said, there are almost 25 to 40% of overall improvement that they have been made in the MEP department of the Revit software. Now, this includes the zone upgrade. So earlier there were HVAC zones. Now they have automatically updated or they have upgraded it to a system zone. So under the systems tab, you have the HVAC zones been available over there. Then even though we have the heating and cooling load analysis available, it used to do it in the best way. Now, as the software enhanced itself, they have also updated it so that it can do that analysis much more better and much more accurately. Then MEP fabrication. So we have the fabrication environment also available. So you have the MEP fabrication workflow improvements that has been included into the software. So as I told in the Revit structural part, where you can attach or bring your model to the advanced level of software such as robot structure analysis. Here also you can take your designs to your advanced software, where you can actually fabricate the designs or the models that you have created for the HVAC or the MEP designs. Now, this has also added its implementation or enhancements to the electrical as well as piping part of the software. So the documentation part is really is been now been seamless, where you can use the AI tools to create a much more advanced level of the designs that you can create, or the advanced level of schedules as well as reports that you can generate from the software. Okay, so these are few of the updates that the MEP enhancements have been made, or the MEP department has been made into their integrity of the Revit 2027 software. All right, so as been said, the HVAC, as I told you, the HVAC zone has been upgraded to the systems zones. So there are now system zones available. Then improved heating and cooling load analysis, as I told you. Earlier versions also used to do the analysis, but now as the later version has came up into the market, they are doing much more accurately, and they are trying to match in the real-time scenarios over here. Then the workflow enhancements and improvements, the clash detections and everything can be incorporated in the software. As again, we have the forma indulged into the software, so you can take it further to the forma software to do much more collaborations over there. Okay, then we have the documentation enhancements. So definitely, as I told you, Revit software has its own updates done in all the other departments. The major update that they have done lastly is towards the documentation enhancement. Now, this is common for all the departments, which is for architecture, MEP, as well as structure department. So over here, they have actually updated the way that you are creating your reports or schedules or keynotes or legends. So everything they have updated with higher accuracy and with faster improvement and productivity over here. So whenever you click on the AI assistants to create any schedules or any keynotes, or let's say if you want to get the legends, definitely it will be an add-on option over there to create it automatically for you. Now you can also add multiple sheets or multiple documentations over here. So Revit is now capable of handling, very complex designs in the software. As there is an incorporation of the .NET 10 version, so now Autodesk Revit software is now capable of handling huge models and BIM models in the software. So with this, designers could seamlessly work without any interruptions or any issues, and also document their drawings into multiple sheets or n number of sheets in their software. Now, you might have also noticed that the Revit software is now booting faster than the older version of the software. So it's very quick. You just have to double tap on the Revit icon and it will be directly available on your screen. So the another improvement that Autodesk has been made for the Revit part is the Forma integration. Now, as I told you, Forma is in the most booming stage now, as we used to have Fusion 360 earlier. So now everywhere is talking about Forma. So Revit is not behind that scenario. So Revit is also, joining its hands towards Forma, where you can share your documents and projects with the Forma and collaborate with multiple people and corporates on your industry while you're working in a single ecosystem. So it will also give you a lot of benefits which Forma Asset bring you to the table. All right, now this all topics were very generic, and it is all about the Revit software, what it has made changes, or what are the changes that it has made to the latest version of the Revit software. Now, how does it is important for us as an instructor? Now, this is something that I would like to talk more about. Now, we as an instructor definitely have to, face, or we have to deliver the training programs to multiple types of audience. There can be freshers, there can be people or corporates who are coming into for the session who are using the software for the first time. There can be users who are already existing in this industry and they are already using Revit software for a couple of years, or there can be users who are already trying to migrate from an existing software to the Revit software. So these are the main three types of users that comes to training program in front of us. So let's see how this 2027 version has been helped us to improve the delivery of the training programs. So I've definitely listed out few points over here, which I feel is more relevant in these years or in this update. So first of all, we can give much more smarter demonstration. So if you want to give a demo regarding the software way before you're taking up the actual training, so you can give much more smarter demonstration to your clients to showcase the benefits or the advantages to migrate to the Revit software. So you can even showcase Revit 2027 saying that there is an incorporation of AI tools where you can deliver the trainings or you can use the AI while you're working in their industry. So that's something that you can use while you're presenting your software to your clients. Then you can also then I've also noticed that the performance and the overall user experience has now been enhanced. As I told you, from the past 1.5 months while I'm using this software, I've never faced any issue like the software is getting frozen or the software is getting crashed. So you don't have such hiccups while you're delivering the trainings. Now, definitely 2026 was also very stable software. I never had any issue except for one or two times, but most of the times the software was running smoothly and seamlessly. But again, that is totally carried forward and even more enhanced in much more smoother way. Now, when you already have facing issues or hiccups with the software, that overall destroys the environment or the way that we deliver the training. So definitely Revit 2027 is something that you should consider in incorporating into your training programs. Okay, then definitely the user interface, as it has changed its visualization and the presentation pattern. So everything has been changed. And the removal of the options bar. Yes, that's something that I would like to add over here as we have discussed. Removal of the options bar is something that we as an instructor would encourage or we would love to have in the latest version. The reason is that when, as I told you, when some student come to or when any of our clients come to the training program, we have to take a while to make them comfortable with the Revit software, especially when they are coming from AutoCAD interface or AutoCAD MEP interface. So we have to take, we have to do a lot of struggle to make them understand that we have to change the approach to the Revit software, especially when it comes to the options bar. So we have to tell that, okay, first click on the icon, then go to the modify tab, then come back to the options bar, then to the properties panel. So there are a lot of steps that were included over there. Now everything has been changed. The options bar has been changed to the contextual tab. So that complete step has been eliminated. So it's been a relief for we as an instructor to, we don't have to, push the students to move around the interface anymore. So that's something that is very good in the latest update. Okay. Now, definitely with positives, there are certain negatives also, or let's say there are certain overcomes that we as an instructor will face over here. That is related to the learning materials. Now, as I told you, all our learning materials might or mostly will be created in the older versions of Revit, which we have used till here. But when it comes to like 2027, as the user interface has been changed, the options that you might have mentioned in your learning material will not align with the existing software. So that's something that you need to focus on to update. So you also have to update your learning material so that it is aligned with the training that you're going to deliver. So let's say your learning material has all the steps mentioned in the option bar and there is no use of options in the latest version. So definitely there will be a mismatch between the communication from the learning material or the book as well as the software. So this will create confusions among the learners. So I will insist you to update your learning material with the latest version of the Revit software so that it aligns well and you can also, give the training with the best experience possible. Okay. Now, uh, related to the learning materials. So definitely, as I told you, I am delivering training for various corporates across the globe. So I personally use Ascend, STC publication and Pact publications learning materials. And definitely as our portal, the ACI enabling portal is available. It's one of the remarkable portal available for we as an instructor to develop ourselves to the latest versions of the software. So Revit 2027 is also something that we can learn from there for each and individual topic that we have discussed. So we as an instructor should be updated with all the tools that are available in the latest versions. And definitely you can make use of the other learning materials that are available to your clients. Okay. Now, in summary, what are the updates? Just to give a quick recap on what we have discussed. So we just discussed about the latest updates of what's new in the Revit 2027 version of the software. So definitely is the first thing is related to the AI integration. So AI is something it's very rigorously coming into the industry, and we instructors are also welcoming it very happily to our course. So definitely AI is the first thing that I would like to recap over here. Second thing is the user interface updates that it has made. The third thing is the automatic numbering systems that it has been incorporated in the latest version of the software. The fourth is related to the walls, the hosted walls. So we can see that Autodesk Revit has now incorporated hosted wall mechanism in the software. Then we have the additional tab of concrete. We can see that we now have an additional tab concrete available in the software, which can include the details and icons related to the concrete tools of the designers in the software. As well as last but not the least, we have the documentation updates, the update that we have brought into the documentation where Revit can now quickly and easily create documentation such as schedules or reports or even legends can be done using the AI tools integrated. Okay, so this is how this is what's new about the Revit 2027, especially in the perspective of our instructors. So that's all from my side. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Varun. I think that was a really good walkthrough of the key things to be mindful of as we start working with the latest version. Thank you also to everyone who listened. We look forward to seeing you in the next session. Until then, all the best to you and see you soon again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye bye.